And I'm going to turn off the
Hey,
Facebook.
welcome everybody. This is a coffee break show. We had a bit of technical difficulty. I know you're all climbing on board right now. There's a bunch of you coming on, and I just want to welcome you. Today, we are going to rock your world. Today, we have Zuzana Dobro on, and we are going to be talking about all kinds of things that are going to inspire you and engage you. And I can't even I just want to say welcome to the Coffee Break Show today.
Thank you so much, Vickie, for having me. I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, I see all you guys coming on. Listen, if you're new to the Coffee Break Show, we go live Monday through Friday, and we share tips, tools, inspiration, motivation, and all kinds of things that help you create thrivability in your life. If you're new here, put your name down here. We want to know you and get to see you and have a conversation with you. And if you're here every day, I see you guys piling on. Thank you for coming on board. Thank you for the sound check. We went down for a second. We had to come back up. Good morning. Welcome to you. Welcome to us, Jan. I'm so great. I'm Jane. I'm so glad to see you today. Wendy, look who's in the house. Hey, she is a genius, isn't she? And today we are going to pick her brains about all kinds of things. And we are going to be talking about who matters. And we're going to be talking about designing and developing the life of your dreams. Good morning. Nice to see you on, you guys. Thank you for coming on. Thanks for being here. So I was told, Zuzana, thank you for being here. I was told by somebody who knew you really well. Somebody that was just like, hey, if you get a chance to have her share this story. Good morning, everyone. See you piling on. Nice to have you here today. Thank you. They said, if you could get her to talk about the story of how she got from Slovakia over to the UK, it is like the most phenomenal story you have ever heard. And I thought, well, that's exciting. And she didn't even share with me one bit of the story. She was like, no, you have to hear it from her. You've got to hear it from her. And I was like, okay, I'm going to take a chance today. I know we have all these awesome things to talk about, but would you be willing to share even a little bit of your story so people know exactly why you are here as a guest? And I have to hear the story.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Vickie, where do I start? So I was born in Czechoslovakia, which used to be actually two countries during the communism time. So I'm a communist kid. So all my childhood and teenage times, I actually grew up behind the Iron Curtain, behind a very different, set of rules, very different conditioning, very different understanding of the world. And as a child, I always read a lot of books and I always dreamt about, I want to go and explore this country and I want to go to Paris and, all these amazing dreams that you have when you are a kid. And I was told that I will never be able to leave my country. Like I will never be able to go and explore other places that were not related to the Soviet Union regime, and that was really, really tough for me to swallow, as a kid. And I always started to, just questions like, why is that? Like, what's happening, right? This is not fair. So as a kid, all you do is you just observe and you just take in what they tell you, right?
Yeah.
And when you are, I remember at the time when I was around probably 12, 13, I really started to question. And obviously that's where I, started to logically piece the things and started to ask, a few people that were maybe 5 years older, 10 years older. And they started to tell me, the differences. And I would say the biggest eye opener I received was from my grandparents, because they lived through a lot. They lived through, they remember two world wars. They had a lot of experience, basically. And they were telling me, no, hold on, this is not how it used to be. So they educated me, how it used to be. So I always dreamt leaving my country. And for me, what was very fortunate was that when I was around, I think I was 16 or something like that, 17, that's where the change happened. So the Iron Curtain, came down, and
Yeah.
I realized, I was like, whoa, hold on a second.
Wow.
Does this mean I can actually leave? I was like, I couldn't believe
Wow.
it. But obviously then you are faced with another problem. You don't know the language. You don't know where to go. You have no money. Like you have no,
Yeah.
unless you were part of the family that was elite during the
Yes.
regime. So obviously
Yes.
any regime has a selected few that have privileges and that have access to resources, where I didn't come from that from such a background and such a family. So I was like, so what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna do, right? And I remember when I was 18, I was, so basically, you become like a adult, like legally, when you're 18 in Slovakia, and you supposedly can do whatever you want to do, right? I had an opportunity to go to study to 2 universities, or I was pondering upon coming to England somehow to actually learn English, so to learn the language
Wow.
properly. Because during the communist times, only few, usually the kids of the diplomats, very selected few kids were able to learn other foreign languages, because obviously it was necessary for the regime, right, to have skills. And everyone else was forced to learn Russian, and that was it. Those were the options. I'm not saying Russian is not a nice language. It's actually very, very beautiful language. But it's something you are forced upon, but it's not that practical when you want to travel out. So I really, really wanted to learn English, and I was like, what is the best way to do it? And I was like, I need to come to England somehow.
Yeah.
So I actually decided not to go to universities. And Vickie, for you to understand one very important thing when it comes to universities in Slovakia is that you don't just rock up, send your application, and I'm going to study in university. It's not like that. You have to pass very special exams. Each university has a special exams to pass.
Wow.
So there is like they select very carefully who they actually allow for the, to go to university. I don't know how it is right now, but this is how it used to be. So education has, had to be, and was one of the top priorities for the regime. So they really wanted to have, educated people.
Of course.
But it was super selective. I had opportunity to go to 2 universities. And I said no. Wow. And everyone was like, "You crazy?" Like,
yeah, what? Of course. Yeah. What are you doing?
Exactly. And I was like, I don't care. Like, it's just like I just followed my heart. Let's put it that way. And extremely curious also about other opportunities. So I decided when I was 18 years old to come to England on my own to basically try to make it, and I only had 200 British pounds in my pocket, and that was it. I had no contacts. I had no one to help me out in here at the beginning. And to put it into perspective, 200 pounds at that time, pound was much stronger, so it was probably something like maybe 600 pounds, okay, in a pocket. And another example of what that money actually meant to me is that my grandmother, and this is at the time when there was no euro, we had Corona, it was a very different, exchange rate. My grandmother saved for 10 years to give me this money, 200 British pounds. 10 years when I was 18. Imagine that basically the difference, right? Of the background that I came from, where we didn't have resources or a massive savings or anything like that, on our side, because you could not have. It would be very suspicious, and if you had, it was more material. So no one could see it, you could hide it. So, people are super resourceful. No matter what regime you press up on them, they become very resourceful. So there is always official market, and then you have the black market, no matter what. That's just the human nature.
Yes,
anyway,
yes.
So yeah, I came to England and was 18, and really the story of me starts, there.
It's like so powerful. And I like this. Zuzana Dobro, I remember you sharing this story while you were staying at my house. I was so captivated by your courage. And that's the point I want to say we're going to start with. This is really the truth. When you get somebody who has this kind of chutzpah, you're looking at, she takes away all the excuses. I told you we were going to have guests on the show who were going to help you. I mean, she went from that to being a designer, consultant, entrepreneur, and adventurer. Now, let's just play a little bit. I think how many countries have you adventured to now?
Oh, I think something around 25 or 30.
Yeah. And it's like, talk
I don't
about
even know
building a life
exactly.
for yourself. The interesting thing is, for what you said that really pulled me, was you said, I just followed my heart. I just followed my heart. And your grandmother had saved 10 years to give you the opportunity to follow your heart.
Yeah.
And whether you went to university or whether you went wherever you went, you took whatever circumstance you had and made it a diamond or a gem. And this is part of what makes a good entrepreneur. It's not just an attitude, it's a lifestyle that you live. An entrepreneur isn't something you do, it's something you are. And so, let's spend a little bit of time right now. Let's talk about your current project, because I know there's so much of adventuring and I want to get to that, but I also want to get to your current project. We're talking about Who Matters, and I want to know more about that. Will you share with us what that is for you?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. So currently I'm working on a project which is going to be coming out very soon. I'm aiming this July. So keep me accountable, people. And basically, it's called the Who Method. And what I'm putting together is really, I'm distilling my experience that I have over a decade of working as a lead user experience designer and user experience researcher for bigger brands or for bigger companies and even startups, to be honest. But they usually obviously have a certain amount of funding behind that they can actually hire specialists into their team to actually work on the initial stages of their product, and that's where I would be actually hired in as an external consultant and expert. And I realized one very important thing, and this is thanks to me being exposed to more or of smaller businesses and entrepreneurs, probably past 3 to 4 years, is that I realized that many of them are actually just skipping over or just brushing, gently all around the topic of knowing their dream, client, or their, there are so many names to it. So, dream avatar or your marketing avatar, or basically who is the person, who is the human being you actually really want to serve. I seen what's out there, and I seen, how people actually, teaching this space, and especially from the marketers and from entrepreneurs, and there are some really good coaches, but I would say there are very important missing parts that are just being skipped over, and I don't know why it is, and to be honest, I don't really care, because I know there is a gap, and I know I can actually help and take people through a process that I have learned from the best in the world. And I have implemented across different companies, and I see the results, because I tell you what, if you skip it, the chances of actually delivering your product are less than 50%. Because if you don't know who you're actually retargeting, if you don't really know who are the people, if you don't know how to speak to them, if you don't know how to meet them exactly where they are at the given moment.
Yes.
You don't know how to message. Everything starts from there. You cannot write your copy if you don't know who you are talking to, can you?
It's very basic. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
You really do have to know your client in such a way. And I think a lot of people don't spend time on this very topic that you're talking about.
It is exactly. Thank you for saying that, because this is what I have observed, and part of my experience, I became a really, 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 good observer, because that is part of the actually execution and doing the work that I've been doing. So I have learned this. It's straight, and everyone can learn it. It's really learnable. So the usual entrepreneurial journey, right, is like, first you should know your why. Okay, then you should know your who, your target audience.
Yeah.
Then you should find where they are. So what is your market? Where is your market, right? People, your people are going to be there. So where is it? Then what is it that you are going to deliver or give them, or how are you going to serve them, right? So your product. And then you have how. So how am I going to do it? So now comes the strategy, thinking, or not just the strategy, but more tactical stuff. So, how am I going to launch it, basically? How I'm going to deliver this, and then when, obviously, what are your timings, right? So this is kind of the journey that every entrepreneur goes through. Every business goes through when they are trying to launch a product or service. So I would say knowing your why is very important. I also see many entrepreneurs getting stuck on it, because when you think about knowing your why, your purpose, right? It's not an easy question to answer. And many people get paralyzed by this question. So I would say it's a wrong question to ask. Yes, there are ways, and there are some people have a good way of getting to that answer. Yet, let me ask you, Vickie, how many people actually truly from their heart know their purpose right now?
It's interesting because I don't think there is a singular purpose for one person. I think it could change in any minute. So I really think that it's such a small percentage. I don't even think it's 1/2 of 1/10 of 1%. I don't think a lot of people know what even purpose is.
Yeah. No, that's exactly how I'm observing it. And there's nothing wrong with it, but I see people get, I don't know, like I really, and they really get stuck. They do not do, like, they stop. They don't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And they have so many amazing ideas, but they don't know how to execute. And what I observed really, and also I can speak from my own experience, is that as you yourself grow and you go through different experiences in your life, it's a journey, and your purpose will be unfolding, and you might realize, and you might get to that point maybe when you are, I don't know, if you're lucky, when you're 20, and that's it. You just know, right? It's that moment when you know that you know. It's very important.
Yes.
Or you might be in your 50s.
The only way to describe that, when you know. It's like when it was in that, it brings the movie Jerry Maguire up when he was like, do you love her? And he's like, well, we're spending out. How do you know you love her? He's like, well, when you know. That certainty piece, that is purpose. And it comes from moment to moment, I think. I want to go back here because they are just, everybody's talking really fast, and
I'm unable to do multitasking right now, so I'm leaning on to you.
Zuzana, that's good. Zuzana Dobro, thank you for sharing this intimate part of your story. It's amazing how different realities exist all over our earth. I love hearing stories like yours. It's very inspiring and captivating that at 18, I know, right? 18, you made these choices creating your future. Thank you to your grandmother for knowing how important this gift was for you. It really was. I like this. There are so many powerful phrases we are hearing about Zuzana. Courageous, captivating, granddaughter of an incredible grandma, adventurous, yes. And so when we take a look at what we're doing here, and we're growing, and oh my gosh, you guys, wow. I don't even know if I can keep up here. Okay, slow down here. Let's see. I like this. What a great question. Many people that we've met are on the path to finding their purpose. Yes, they are. They are trying that. I like this. Knowing your why is important, but most people get stuck there and never pursue their dream product or company. And I think that's so important to understand. Not everyone realizes they have a gift. And this is the point that I think is so important. Not everyone realizes they have a gift or that they are a gift. So I like this. when you recognize it. And I think these are important key points of having success. But I will tell you this. When I have looked at companies or people who have businesses, they don't spend enough time looking at what the customer experience is going to be. They make the product and they make this really outstanding product. They make it so that it is, great in every way. And then we start talking about the product. But it's the consumer experience that we want to grow and relate with, and that design, that purposeful feeling that they get when they come to your company. That's what's going to make them fans. That's what's going to make them trust you, like you, know you, and purchase from you over and over and over again. And if you feel no purpose with your business or your company, how are you going to explain that? It's such an integral part of the customer experience. It's such an integral part of who you are when you're talking to the person that you're there. They want to feel your purpose when you speak about it, just like we're doing right now. They want to feel your purpose. So one more time, I'm going to pop over here. Those that know leave home at 18 and are the tool to change the world. And people are stuck on that. But this is the whole point. It's the whole beautiful point. This is the most important thing. She's already changing the world, continued to change the world, continue to pursue her dreams, continued to listen to her heart. She walked away from 2 prestigious universities to go ahead and help people, and people not just in their adventurous way, but live their dream and think about their business as, life design, business design. It's like, who matters at that point? That's the whole thing. There's still just one more. And then because I want to keep going with her and let her continue her story about, who matters. Yes, being the great observer, being present in the moment, to be the observer is paramount for the road to success in all aspects of life, Zuzana. That is correct. Yes, glad that you guys are enjoying this. I know that you're there. I'm going to keep going because I got her here and we're getting so much value here. I want to make sure that I, squeeze as much value out as we can. And thank you for allowing that for us. And Zuzana, I just want to go ahead and ask you, with a new business, because you talked about you have to know the who, then you have to know the what, the who, name it,
why,
the how, the what, the why, the how.
There is a sequence. Like, it's super simple. It's why, who, where, what, how, and when. Let's keep it simple.
Why? Somebody type that in. Why, who, where,
who, where, what, how, when.
What, how, when.
Yeah, it's a very simple way of describing the journey, let's say, an entrepreneur goes through when they are launching their service or product. When they are solving a problem for someone, let's put it that way also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, where we're solving them. Yeah. So I'm going to be starting, let's say we're starting a new business. Do you decide what business it is, or do you decide what market you want to serve first?
So I first look what people need. And people are market. They make up the market. So that is the area, right, you go to. So I always start with a person. I always start with a human being. What does a human being needs? What are they desiring, or what they want? What are the struggles? So that's one side. Or another one is that if I have a problem with something, I will look at it from the perspective, okay, so if I have a problem and I'm my own customer, I need to solve my own problem. And this is actually, by the way, how a lot of entrepreneurs start, in creating certain businesses or finding certain solutions, because they are solving their own problems, right? Mm-hmm. So this is twofold. But I always start with a person, and only then I look where they are. Only then I look what market this is actually, But first I start, what is the problem?
And that's an interesting question right there, because what one of my mentors way back then said, solve problems, solve really big, deep problems. And when you ask that question, what's the problem? It's like, I like to sit with it. I like to sit with what is the problem. And I don't take the first answer in my mind. Well, the problem is this.
Yeah.
That could just be one of the problems. And as you dig deeper into solving problems in the world, or solving big, spacious problems, I think sometimes the entrepreneur can get caught in, I'll solve this little problem versus this big problem. And in that, getting caught in that little problem where you're only solving a little problem, that's only a little money. If you want to solve a big problem and really sit with it, you can then feel and go deeper into what the problem is. I want to talk about this because, and I'm going to go into this. Listen, there's no question that as I'm firing away here, and we're going to go deep. She doesn't, this is all in the moment, because right now we're living in a pandemic economy. And we're looking at the evolution. We're looking at the evolution of change right now. And there's going to be some exciting things and some other problems that are out there right now. And I'm wondering, what do you think for entrepreneurs are going to be the 3 biggest changes and the 3 biggest problems they're going to have to look at going into this new pandemic economy where things are shifting? And I want to let her have a little moment to think about what her answer is, because I really just am looking at, in the design phase, what are going to be the 3 things entrepreneurs are going to go up against that is new, and what are going to be the 3 things that are probably going to change about how we've been doing business right now in the design phase of it. And let's take it as an online business, because we can't speak to every industry, but let's speak to the online industry.
Yeah. So, like, without thinking too much about it, which I actually don't want to do, because then you just get very logical answers. Let me just really freestyle. So when you were asking this, first thing that came to mind, awareness, was cash flow. So I think entrepreneurs are going to struggle with cash flow.
Yep.
On really, when you think about it, because we do not know what type of a recession we are in. I would say we are in recession.
I agree.
But hey, so I would say that cash flow is a big one. And the next one that came to my mind is really, I would say entrepreneurs will struggle with probably seeing where the trends are going. And what I mean by that is that a lot of mainstream jobs or mainstream services will be replaced by machine learning. So I'm talking about AI, and it's already happening. And I've seen it, and I've seen behind the scenes. So AI and IoT, which is Internet of Things, are being heavily invested in by rich cash flow companies. And certain jobs that can be replaced will be replaced, and anyone providing services in that space will find it difficult to, I would say, compete with bigger players. So they're gonna have to be super resourceful in that space. So this is the second one. And third, I would say, and this is totally coming from my heart, I think a lot of entrepreneurs will struggle with creativity and being able to actually innovate. And innovation is so it's so overused, right? Word. So let me rephrase it. To be resourceful and creative. So to be able to actually come up with something that is joining maybe 2 different industries together. Like, so you can generate the ideas from 2 different, or maybe three dimensionally, and put that together and implement it in a fourth industry. So being able to connect the dots and being able to leverage the knowledge and especially data, there is so much data out there, is going to be, I would say, a big struggle for entrepreneurs because they do not have, not all of them have a know-how, and I would say some entrepreneurs do know how to use the creativity and really work with inspiration, and really, now let's go into a spiritual world a little bit, knowing how to channel through the ideas. There are special ways and special techniques you can actually achieve that.
Yes.
Those who will not practice that, and those who will not understand these techniques and how to leverage them and how to actually work with them, will be left behind because the logical will be replaced by machine. But you cannot replace the innovation. You cannot replace the inspiration of the human being and creativity.
That's right. And that's what makes it such an incredible time to be an entrepreneur right now, is the opportunity. You know what's interesting too, because when you were talking about it, I was thinking, I don't know if you've read Harry Potter or not, but I did. And I remember them going up the staircases, and the staircases would move. They would just move, and you had to reroute what you were going to do and move that. And when you were talking about that, I was like, yes, that entrepreneurship is like the staircases moving, and you can't actually see where the staircase stops, but you can then go up those staircases and figure a new path up to, whatever your dorm is, whatever your product is. Yep. And that's why I think it is there. Zuzana, I want to get to this right now, but just give me a second, because I want to pop this up. I don't think there's a better time to be an innovator. I agree. Than right now, while so many systems are strained or breaking under these new beginning economic changes. Yes, and I think you have to be at the forefront of that. I think if you're trying to save your past, you're going to be, oh my gosh, this is, there's so much here. And somebody's like, Zuzana, tell us about this. And then Zuzana, tell us about this. So we're going to go, I want to start with I want to design thinking transformation. And then I want to go over to here, because isn't this interesting? So we're probably going to go over a little bit. Are you okay with that? We're over right now.
Absolutely.
Great.
I have time. This is a really good session.
Great. Thanks. Zuzana, please define design thinking transformation. Let's go there. Thank you, Karen, for this. Thank you for this one. This is really great.
So let's start with design thinking. What is design thinking? It is a philosophy. It is the way to look at solving certain challenges or problems. By the way, I actually prefer always using challenge as a word instead of problem. It's more positive. It's more inviting. Yes. It's like, ooh, how I'm going to solve it. Is that?
Yeah.
And you want that energy behind, when you're trying to actually address something. So it is a philosophy that has been used for I don't know how many years, maybe 15, and really has been used by the most agencies. IDEO is one of the great examples. And within the design thinking, there are different frameworks, so different methodologies that you can you can use and tap into and apply to whatever you are trying to basically work on. And this is something that really has been leveraged in very important projects all around the world. And it's applicable to not just online business, to anything really. And it just follows a certain type of the steps that, that you need to go through in order to explore what needs to be solved. The beauty of it is that you can tailor it, so you can, adjust it to exact needs of the project or whatever you're trying to basically solve. So it's not rigid. Like you should never ever take it for like step 1, step 2, step 3. Within those steps, you need to know exactly how to jump because guess what? Creative process is not linear. It's never linear.
That's right.
It's always iterative, and it's always looping back and forward, and you always, it is not one from A to B. It never is. So it's just a way to basically explore and solve, big or small challenges. And let me give you a very powerful question that we use. So when I do creative workshops, so I'm a facilitator in this space. So I do creative and innovation workshops. And for example, one of the exercises, there is very powerful question, and anyone who is basically running their own business, or any entrepreneur, start using it. So it's very simple, right? So when you have a let's say a theme that you're trying to solve, or there is something that you want to, or you have a challenge. So what is the challenge? Okay. The question to always ask is, how might we, when you're working with a team together, how might we do XYZ? How might we, solve this? And use how might we, because it's an open question. You need to open, you need to expand on your exploration.
That's right.
This is like early stages when you're actually, working on a project.
It's so beautiful what you just said. One is, it's a philosophy. And I could feel my way through this when you talked. How might we? How might we? It invites other people's knowledge base. It invites other people's inspiration and,
Exactly.
and creativity at that. How might we do that? And the interesting thing is, I feel this when I think about how to solve problems. I use like a think tank method. I gather a couple of visionaries and we can put the problem right in front of the visionaries. I love the way you said that it never goes from A to B. It's always kind of a flow and it comes back. And I was like, that to me is absolutely one of the key things. It's like we invite, we don't segregate or judge or move. We just invite the, what I call the field of possibilities.
Yeah.
And I think when you're answering the question, the field of possibilities, you're not using your mind. You're using your heart and your soul with your mind. It's like when you open up, you use the word channel before, let it come through you, or let it come through you in such a way as to have the whole piece unfold over time. Yeah. So when you look at design thinking, I think that is, I think it is a more open way of being in the world, just as a person, not just as a designer, but just even as a person. I want to move down to here, because I look at this and I say, tell us how brain science impacts the transformation process, and we must all undertake during this pandemic economy. This person must have questions, because I'm like, wow, this, that, and I, she's our executive producer and everybody knows that. So she's like, this is interesting. This is so interesting, this conversation. So can you say more about this as well?
So brain science. Thank you for that question, Karen. I guess you must have been reading up on my work a little bit.
She does her homework.
So what I mean by brain science, it really, it's really connected to something what you just said. So how do you basically express those ideas, basically without using too much of a logic? And it really goes through your brain and your heart. So it's like, I call it a brain heart intelligence. And brain science is very important to understand. And especially if you are an entrepreneur, for you, if you do not know yourself, and if you do not know what kind of programming, let's put it that way, you are running in your life, because that comes from your childhood. So, when since you are born up until 7 years old, your brain is literally like a sponge, just taking on information, because your prefrontal cortex is actually not developed. So your logical thinking is not kicking in. You cannot, reason. You just suck in everything. So understanding how the brain actually works, understanding how the subconscious and unconscious mind works, and how your conscious mind works, and how your subconscious mind works. Let's go a little
Yes.
bit crazy now.
Yes, but
How
still.
all they actually, who,
Yeah.
like, what type they are, what they do, and just really understanding how your brain is actually processing. So there is, obviously there is a difference between
Totally.
brain and mind. So understand those differences, learn it. This is all learnable.
I want to go back to this
Yeah.
one little section that you just said that I think is a key point.
Go
You
for it.
have to understand the difference between your brain and your mind. Your
Big
brain
time.
and your mind. That is a key thing. And most people think their mind and their brain is the same thing. In fact, they think their soul and their mind and brain are the same thing. And thus you can't restructure that aspect of you without even being able to define the difference between your brain and your mind and your soul of who you are. So
Yep.
I thought that was
It's
such
big
a
one.
key thing. Yeah, it is. That's where a lot of people get tripped up, you know?
It's a big one. And that loops back to actually, when you are finding out about your customer, if you yourself, okay, are running certain type of a programming or understanding, or you have your, let's put it, I'll be very blunt, you have your biases about, your
Yes.
bias about how things should be, how world is, your
Yes.
point of view. And if you don't understand where this is coming from, and what is your perspective on the things while you are doing your research, while you are talking to your customers, you're going to completely skew the data and information they're going to give you, because you're going to only see what you are able to see. So how do you go beyond that? How do you actually allow yourself to shut yourself down for a moment and step into the role of the person, of the researcher, of the curious child, to be able to actually get the right information and have really meaningful conversation with your potential customers or with your customers. It's a huge difference, and
ginormous.
It's a huge difference. Anyone who is able to understand this is all learnable. And if you are able to actually step from your shoes into someone else's shoes and understand and just be present and be mindful and actually hear, see, even feel, what they are going through, then you can really understand what they want, and then you are, I think, so much more closer to being able to really help them out. It doesn't matter what it is. Okay.
That's right.
It doesn't matter if it's on personal level or if it's, if it's business. It doesn't make a difference.
It's so beautiful what you got, just so beautiful what you said. You are speaking my language. When I connect with my customers, I don't even like the word customers. I like clients, because I want relationships with the people I work with. And, consumers, that's the way I solve the problem. I don't just sit in their shoes. I dive in. Like, what does it feel like for me? What would I feel like? And I ask them, I get feedback. I get all kinds of things. That I have this natural curiosity to understand that. I'm telling you, this place is on fire. I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm not really paying attention to you, but I'm going to pay some attention to you right now. I love this. This was beautiful. I love that you, Zuzana, are addressing the spiritual aspect of all of this. Ultimately, that is what everything is. And therefore, it is a responsibility due to your deeper understanding. It is comforting to know people of your caliber are here. Great interviewing with sharing. And I totally agree with that. That is such an aspect of rolling it together. We sometimes think that for some reason, spirituality and business don't go together, but they are a beautiful reflection of where you're stuck. I was watching Ray Dalio talk to P. Diddy yesterday, and he said the first thing that happens when you start a business is that your problems come right up first. The problems in the business come up first, and you have to solve those. And that's the spirituality piece. People try to do that spiritual bypass, and they want to just go open business. Don't think about customers. Don't think about my problems. Open business and money. That's it. I open the business. There's money. And if we don't take a look at the design of who you are, design is in everything that we do or say. It is part of that. Brilliance abounds. That's right. This is what I miss about my youthful brain. I like this here. Brain heart intelligence. Wow, that is the best definition of emotional intelligence. And, Tamara was on here. Tamara McCleary was on here a couple of months ago, and she's CEO of Thulium. And she was talking about how right now there's so much AI and so much technology coming up, and that we're going to be even advancing our brain to the point where we're so smart, but we have no emotional intelligence. And I think this is the thing, the brain heart intelligence. Wow, that is the best way. And I like this right here. I thought it was very clever. Hey, Kurt, nice to see you on. What is matter? Never mind what is mind, no matter. And I like that. This is kind of that Buddhist piece of it, that mind and matter thing. But the wisdom of experience, and the brain is malleable. Yes, it is. And that's the whole point of design. The brain is malleable. We have learned that. Look at this. Zuzana and Vickie, success secrets community equal #brilliance. Thank you. We like that. Walking in another person's shoes. That is always the way that we get more success in life. We go ahead and walk in other people's shoes. This is so good. Robin, that is profound wisdom of experience. The brain is malleable. And yes, I like this. Spirituality is my life 24/7. And I agree with that. You're fooling yourself. You started from there and came over here. So we're really that kind of spiritual being.
Yep.
And that part of that brain design is here. And I love that we're melding these two together. I like this. Yes, MJ Caesar, brain equals the machine. The mind is the ego. That's right. When we get to the point where we are understanding the difference between the two, we can begin to shape ourselves and find that we are more than we think is ever even possible. And that there is so much more possibility, so much more innovation, so much more opportunity that can come to you, that you can make a difference in the world, that you can travel 1,000 countries, that you can make your way from a little girl that says, you know what, I want to go here. What do you mean the wall? I can't leave. What? And be able to make your dream happen just by the power of your own desire to make it happen. We are not human beings in search of a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings immersed in a human experience. You guys are, hey.
A lot of comments. They're on fire.
I don't know how to stop it right now. The main difference between customers and clients, from my understanding, is fiduciary duty. I agree with that. The important bit is still about service and how we provide value to them. I agree with that as well. Getting clear on who you serve makes a difference. And Zuzana drills down on that so well. Yes. And I love that. That's a beautiful thing right here. I like this. This is, oops, hang on. We're going to beautifully said. Thank you. We're going to pop over here. Kurt, here's the problem with AI. When you seed life in personal algorithms like self-driving cars, you never truly master the wheel. There is a transpo and driving. Yes, there is. I get that. There's transportation. And on one hand, I think we have public transportation everywhere, all over the world. And you could live your life in a city and never drive a car at all and just be everywhere that you wanted to be. And so I think, isn't it moccasins? Well, let's see, Mount Rushmore. I'm not sure who that is, but good distinction. Love everyone. Thank you. Martin Wales, you're such a troublemaker. Yes, he is. Okay, it's got to be Martin. One of my favorite quotes somebody said. Good. So I want to go back to this part of it. And I want to say, if you had to me, if you had to start a business and you were just looking at the design, not of the company, but what we talked about in the beginning was purpose, right? Can you even find your purpose? Can you find that? We talked about the distinction between the brain, the mind, and what is called heart or soul, which is that piece of it right there. And I think those things that we just talked about, those just two things, purpose is found inside that soul. And design is being with a challenge or a problem, whichever it is that you're creating for that business, long enough to have it speak to you, and then speak to you in such a way that you explore it, etc. Now, let's say when things are changing, and let's say your message changes. with the thing that's changing, because right now the whole message of the world is changing. How can people be with their own design inside themselves to find those answers? I know meditation is a lot of what people say, but when you're designing things, like let's say you can feel a new message coming from you for your clients, for this time, for this whatever, how would you begin to build that concept, to create that new message without harming your original message? Or maybe you need to let go of that original message or that original design. Do you understand what I'm asking?
Kind of. Are you talking about when you feel that there is a moment for a different message that you want to get over across to people, because that's actually who you are now and that's what resonates in you? So are you talking about pivoting in your business or in your product, or what are you?
All of the above. All the whole aspect of it, you know? So it's kind of like for me, when Steve Jobs built the computer, and then all of a sudden he said, hey, here's an iPod. And the iPod is 1,000 songs in your pocket, and you put it in there and you have this new message coming out. Well, I don't think moving forward, I'm using Steve Jobs as the thing, but I don't think moving forward, you can have the same message as in the future. I don't think your company can have the same message. That message was based on a paradigm that is moving in a different way, completely transforming, completely shifting. And I'm thinking, if you're waiting for purpose, that new message has got to come from somewhere. That's the thing I'm talking about.
Okay, so let's go back to the I call it a paralyzing question, okay? Which is, why am I here? Or what's my purpose? What's my why? I think these questions are pretty paralyzing for people that have no clue, or that are pondering upon it. And instead, what I would really encourage, people to do is to start asking empowering questions. What do I mean by that? Empowering question for me is a question that expands you, that expands your thinking and the possibilities. So anyone who is struggling with finding their purpose, right? What's my purpose, right? I really just ask a different empowering questions. I'll give you an example. Ask, what is my potential?
Yes. When I get in
and what is my potential here on this earth? Just ponder upon this question, and really, allow yourself to go on the journey to really, allow yourself to discover it, right? Be curious, become that explorer, become that observer of yourself. So ask empowering questions that do not paralyze you or make you like, I don't know, right? It's the stiffness of your, it's a paralysis, really. And then your logical goes in, and as soon as your logical brain kicks in, stop it. Like, you're not gonna solve it. Like, stop, like, literally, and really go back to and ask this question, right? Who am I, and what is my potential?
Yes.
And listen.
Yes. I want to take a step even further, because that question, that who am I and what is my potential, that is purpose right there. I believe that people don't have potential. I believe they are potential. And that's the cool thing. When you see yourself as potential, then you can be any purpose in the moment that the divine wishes to have you serve. And that could come out of nowhere. You could be part of a project and it could just be, oh, I didn't expect this project. Like, Tracy and I have been working on this project for 6 months, and 6 months and 1 day ago, I didn't even think about that about Tracy. You know what I mean? It just shows up for you when you are potential. And when you are potential, then you can serve in that way. And potential will give you exactly it'll show you what it wants you to do. And there's so much. I love this conversation. I love it so much. And I see you guys still here.
So,
we are rolling over an hour right now with her. And I'm only going to keep her for a few minutes more. So if you have a question for her, you guys put it in there right now. And I know this is, and I want to thank you for being so generous with your time and things. I want to go back to that potential thing, because that is what I think the future is. And what we like to do is we like to know. We want to know what it is, how it is, when it is, that it is before we go. And potential is a state of openness. It's a willingness to surrender. It is not the knowing and like living in that kind of potential, having faith in the universe, that it'll show up for you in the perfect way, and that you get to use your skills to design this and create whatever you're designing. We also want to take in always the customer experience with that, the experience people are going to have.
You know what could the
you
sequence
should see
be
this
then?
side if you see it.
I can't multitask, so
it's okay.
I wouldn't be able to, answer anything. But let me just quickly chip into that. So my question was: ask yourself first, what is my potential? Then, to continue on what you just said, allow yourself to be that potential.
Allow yourself to be that potential,
because you are that potential, right? Again, do the circle. It's the whole loop.
Yeah, it's that whole loop. And Anna, I only know this because Anna, she puts the little red hearts after her statements over there. It's so cute. Yes, I also believe we are potential, and you would be amazed as to what shows up once we realize we are. That is such an incredible thing. Once we realize we are potential, and that whole loop, that circling back. Yes. And you know what? You are walking into the field of genius. This is that loop. This is the loop of the genius right here.
Because
it's inner genius.
Everyone
That's
is
right.
Individually.
Oh my God, this is so cool. I like this. We like control, but potential has no boundaries. Yes, it is open. And I am and people are talking about AI right now. They're like, what if AI goes really bad? And, and it's worse than it is. We're at that experiment, and I understand the possibility of everything in your mind thinking that it could go terrible, and everything in your mind thinking that it could go excellently. And the truth is, you get to choose which thought you want to keep. But I will probably agree that the thought that you keep is the one that'll show up.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, here is a question. What if we are AI of someone else?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go woo-woo.
Let's go woo-woo. What if we are the AI of someone else? We're God's AI. The universe is AI.
Who knows? Who knows? It's all about labeling and how you actually perceive, we give words and labels to things and experiences. So our logical brain actually have some, connection. It can connect. It can actually, rationalize things. But if you go beyond labels, like what it is then? What is AI?
Yeah.
If it wouldn't have a label. Anyway. All right.
I love it. Yes. Give yourself permission to be the potential. And then what happens after that? There is only potential. And that's the whole point. That's why being an entrepreneur is so exciting. Being an entrepreneur is living, for me, in potential. It's living in how to solve that loop, living that life. For me, that is the most awakening anyone can have. It's just such an incredible quality of life. Zuzana, I want to tell you this. You are freaking amazing. And I am so excited that you've been here. And I loved that you cracked everybody's brain open and let us take a peek inside at possibility, design, spirituality, entrepreneurship, freedom, and belief, surrender, and faith. all in 1 hour. That is just, wow. I'm absolutely blown away. And I'm so glad that you joined us today. And you guys, I see all of it. I love you so much. Thank you for being here. But I actually have to let her and I go on with the rest of our day. Thank you so much for being here on the Copy Break Show. According to this side over here, I'm going to be having you back again sometime in the future. Thank you for joining us today.
That would be a really, really amazing again. And yeah, I'm sure there are so many things we could be talking about and go into, to explore and really, just ignite that imagination for people. So yeah, I will be happy to come back.
Thank you, because they're like, yes, Zuzana is absolutely freaking amazing. And I'm getting thank you, ladies. And then look at this. Zuzana, you're a freaking amazing. Quote from Vickie Helm. Yes, it was. Thank you for being here, my friend. And I will see you guys Thursday. We'll do a wrap up. We'll talk about Zuzana again, because you'll all be like, wasn't she really cool? Yes, she was. Mwah! Peace out, everybody. I love you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.